election education, small Spartans, and space exploration. All this and more as the Stafford Weekly News starts now. Welcome to the Friday, April 4th edition of the Stafford Weekly News. I'm Randall Williams. You may have heard there's a school bond on our next election ballot, but there's also an organization dedicated to explaining a complex issue.
You don't expect to find school on a Sunday afternoon at HCC. This is another kind of school venture, the SMSD Facilities Improvement Group.
And we have toiled and we have worked very, very hard since the latter part of last year. And I say this only to mean that none of this just happened. There's been a lot of studies, a lot of tours of the buildings, a lot of interviews with the principals and directors of SMSD. So everybody had a play, had a say-so in what they felt is needed for SMSD to continue on and to remain competitive, not only academically, but also athletically and also future. But all we can do is make the information available so that when they go to the polls on May 3rd or before, they go knowing exactly what it is that they're voting for. That's what's important to us. Not so much your yes or your no, but the fact that you will go to the polls knowing exactly what it is and how it's going to impact you and what good it's going to make.
Okay, so there is 4 propositions on the bond that, or on the ballot, that will be on May 3rd. There is early voting. Early voting is going to be April 22nd to April 29th, and then election day is the 3rd, all right? Stafford School has a bond page specifically that will explain all the details that you guys want to know about each bond and what the plan is to use with that money. This is a $150 million bond. This is one of the largest bonds that Stafford has seen. The school is over 45 years old, and just like your home, it needs some tender love and care. It's not going to get the money from the state. We are citizens, the community, that's where the school gets the money to be able to continue having those grounds for our kids to continue their education. Everybody knows that there's an attack on education right now in Texas. They're pushing vouchers, but our hope is that if we invest in our schools now, our kids will stay in Stafford and more people will want to come to Stafford. So now more than ever will this bond be needed.
I was looking at a report last night, and it stated that Texas is 8th in education. It's 46th in the amount of money that it dedicates to public education. 46 out of 50 states. Unbelievable. We cannot depend on the state or on the federal. We have to take care of our own. How do we do that? Bonds. Bonds. What little we get from the state, what little comes from taxes, is not enough to maintain the maintenance and operation, the sinking and interest and sinking fund. It leaves almost nothing to renovations, to fixing things, to update resources. That comes from bonds. And fortunately, we have a community that has been very good at supporting our bonds.
For Stafford Weekly News, this is Randall Williams.
If you drive down 90, you can't miss the field with over 2,000 blue flags flying. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, and the Exchange Club continues to raise that awareness.
The 2,075 white stakes with blue ribbons you see here in this awareness field represent 2,075 children treated for abuse and neglect in our community just last year. Those are the children that we know about. Most never tell of their abuse and neglect. The current thinking is that we actually know of as few as 1 in 3 and possibly as few as 1 in 10 children still suffering in silence. We hope and pray that one day this scourge on our community will end, and we are dedicated to doing what we can to bring attention to this ugly and unfortunate growing problem. The National Exchange Club has one national project: preventing child abuse. Simply stated, this is the priority for our over 650 clubs spread across this great nation. I recently read an article saying that 90% of a child's intellect, personality, and social skills are developed by age 5. We can only imagine the negative impact that child abuse and neglect has on this development and negative impact on the rest of their lives. This is just a part of what makes prevention so critical. Although we are fortunate in Fort Bend County that we have many local partners working together, Exchange is the only organization that leads with prevention. We have one of the very best collaborative programs in the state that fights child abuse and neglect. There's over 22 agencies that have joined forces to take perpetrators off the street and put children in homes that are safe. Although this may sound straightforward and easy, there are many steps involved and the outcomes are rarely perfect. But working together to bring awareness to the problem, we will have an impact. That is what this awareness field is set to do, and just part of why prevention is so important. I want to thank everybody who joined us here today to recognize the problem of child abuse in our community. Crimes against children are sad and sobering, but as we leave here today, let's keep in mind that there's excellent work being done to serve the children of Fort Bend County. Together, we can prevent child abuse close to home. Finally, I want to extend an offer to everyone watching to join with us. We have clubs all around the country. If you'll go to nationalexchangeclub.org, you'll find more about our programs of service, the impact we make on the community, and our national project preventing child abuse. We have a number of resources available to families that you'll find out, and I'm happy to meet and have people join clubs and learn more about us.
The training of our new police officers continues, and this week we got to take a look at their defensive training.
So today here at the Stafford Police Department, we're working on many different things. We're doing our defensive tactics. From there, we're looking at areas of maintaining control with suspects to getting out of headlocks, working with takedowns and different things. Primarily maintaining control as a single officer so we can mitigate major uses of forces, so where we can have control versus using other weapons or anything we have to do, such as intermediate tasers, and we can maintain better control is what we're looking for. So we've been practicing things like the Americana arm lock going from the arm lock position into handcuffing, arm bars into handcuffing, and even more weapon retention, and preventing our firearms from being accessed by suspects, maintaining control over those, and doing everything we can on the street to make sure we're safe, the community's safe, and we mitigate as much use of force against a suspect as possible. We find this training to be quite important because if an officer continuously trains, not only can we defend ourselves, like I said, we can defend our community, we can defend ourselves and protect one another. And it's very important that we as officers know how to defend ourselves and keep our weapons or maintain control over a suspect. So one, if they did just hurt somebody, assault somebody, we're maintaining control of them, keeping them from getting away to eventually go and hurt somebody else. We're mitigating the use of force against them. If I can maintain and establish solid control against a suspect, I don't necessarily have to always go to intermediate weapons. While there are times that does occur because maybe they're so big and so strong, but the training we're doing today is important because it can take even a smaller officer like myself maintaining control against a much larger subject.
So I'm a new officer with the Stafford Police Department. Before this training that we're doing today, which is just some jiu-jitsu training and combat training, I didn't really have much experience with self-defense. And coming out of the academy, we learned, a little bit just basics. But with this training, yesterday and today, we've gotten a lot more experience with on-the-ground combat training, hands-on stuff, and I've gained a lot of knowledge that I'll be able to take to the streets to make me feel more confident, more safe, especially being a woman. I feel like it's really important for me to know this, and I feel like it's definitely a very important thing that should be implemented in more departments for us to be able to take down suspects safely for ourselves and for them, instead of going to extreme force. And I really enjoyed this training, and hopefully we'll be able to get some more throughout our time here.
Author, next.
SMSD was hopping the last weekend in March, and one of the reasons was the return of the Mini Spartan Sports Camp.
This isn't your regular volleyball game. It's the return of the Mini Spartan Camp.
So the mini camp is something that I decided to do just to get our kids more involved with the community, more so, kind of build the morale up for those kids wanting to join sports and get active. The first time I did this camp was actually this past fall, which we had a great turnout. The kids loved it, got a lot of great feedback. So I was like, why not do it in spring, especially with volleyball being one of the first sports that start. Doing it in the spring kind of keeps the excitement going and geared up. That way when the fall comes, it's like, where did it come from? People are, already getting excited about it. I'm hoping I have some returners, so some of our returners will probably get a little bit more of an advanced training in volleyball. The other thing about this one is we added football this time around. So again, we're just trying to build up the community, have our kids involved, and then to kind of understand that the role that they play as a student athlete. Well, the good thing about this camp is, so what we'll actually do is ask these kids to come back during the season. to where they'll be able to walk out on the court. And then for the football, they'll be able to kind of go out with the football team during their warm-ups before their game, so they can just kind of get a feel of what it's like to, be part of the team.
Now, where can folks get more information?
They should definitely contact me via email, and that is IELLAS@staffordmsd.org. I respond quickly with emails. I always love hearing again from our communities. But yeah, that would be the best way to contact me if they had any questions or just any inquiries. I am hoping, because as I was passing out flyers, I'm hoping to add another sport as well. It'll probably be soccer next, because that was the inquiry. So again, I'm just trying to make it to where the kids don't wait until middle school to start trying these sports, and that they get active beforehand.
For Spartan Spotlight, this is Randall Williams.
Teachers are called upon to handle a number of jobs in the classroom every day. And yet, one SMSD teacher managed to add another one: published writer.
Hello everyone, I'm a preschool daycare teacher here at Stafford Early Childhood Center. Working with this community has been fabulous throughout the years. My classroom had inspired me to write a book about a tale of caring and sharing called The Kindness Kingdom. My students have showed me within the classroom that sharing and sometimes caring for one another is kind of difficult. And so based on their social, emotional, and cognitive development milestones, I wrote a book that details everything that a child needs to help them learn how to share and care amongst one another. So The Kindness Kingdom, a tale of care and sharing, was inspired by my classroom. I noticed that my students was having a hard time sharing and caring for one another. And according to their developmental milestones, I wanted to come up with a book that inspired kids to want to share with each other and to understand one another. So it is based on their social, emotional, and cognitive skills based on their developmental milestones. So this is a great book for teachers, early childhood educators who also want to get their students to understand the importance of sharing and caring amongst one another. But my goal is to have this book in all facilities, statewide, worldwide, to get these kids to learn to share amongst each other, to use gentle hands, and also to just have empathy and compassion for one another. I know they're still little ones, still learning how to care for one another, still learning empathy. However, this book will actually help them learn about that.
I am super excited to share that our very own daycare teacher, Miss Alexi Jones, is a published author, our very first one here at Stafford Early Childhood Center. And tonight during Literacy Night, we had a book signing. We purchased 5 books from the site and used them as giveaway prizes for the parents and students, and they got an opportunity to have their book signed and autographed by Miss Jones and take it home. And they took pictures, and they were so excited to see that the books that they talk about here at school with authors and illustrators, and they had an opportunity to meet their very own author and interact with her. And the book is The Kindness Kingdom, and we look forward to her next book in the series. And again, we are so proud of Miss Jones.
Art has been known to comment on what we are and what we do, but a new exhibition at West Loop comments on where we are.
Currently on display at the West Loop campus is an art show with the tricky name Third Places and Vanishing Spaces Between.
Well, first I would say I'm an art historian. This is actually my first solo exhibition. I have had some artwork that I've submitted in juried shows, but this is the first time I've put an entire show together. So, to tell you a little bit about this exhibition, it is inspired by work done by Ray Oldenburg, who wrote a book called The Great Good Place. And given where we are right now as a country, the divisiveness, it resonated with me, because what he is talking about are the disappearing places where people can connect, where they build bonds, they build community, they get to know each other. And our cities, our urban planning, really isn't about bringing people together. It's about moving cars. And we find that we now have communities that people don't work in, their children don't go to school in. So those bonds in the community are starting to erode. The other thing that inspired it was, this happened during COVID, but it seemed to intensify even after COVID, is a sense in America of people feeling isolated, feeling loneliness. In fact, the Surgeon General said it was at an epidemic level that people feel lonely. So that is the isolation that I'm representing in both the photography and the painting. So we're pushed inward rather than outward. And as humans, we really need those bonds, but we tend to engage in self-help and, well, my yoga person here, which is a very, inwardly focused activity, right? So those are the kind of things that even further keep us from connecting. It's inspired by the Nighthawks. It's one of my favorite paintings. And just the kind of quiet solitude it had. And I thought, but now that has changed. So what would that look like as a contemporary piece? And I came up with, together apart, because we're together, but we are on our phones, we don't connect. This is Oldenburg's idea, which I think provides us a good framework to think about where do we spend our time. So the third place is the place where you do connect, where you do get energized, that community that you have that knows your name, and there's no other agenda other than connecting and spending time with each other. So that is a third place, different from the first place, which is home, and the second place, which is work.
For HCC Beat, this is Randall Williams.
That's a wrap on our news for this week. Thank you for joining us. For everyone here at Stafford Weekly News, I'm Randall Williams. May all your news be good news.
This program was produced on the Stafford campus of Houston Community College.